While Americans for Prosperity Virginia has been crisscrossing the Commonwealth, and we really have, we've been from Lee County to Fairfax, from the Shenandoah Valley to Tidewater. But while we've been fighting those fights, a national battle has been going on as well. Our national office and our national president, Tim Phillips, who's no stranger to this room because he calls Virginia home, has been crisscrossing the country. As a matter of fact, I think he's been to every state except Hawaii. Tim Phillips has been leading our charge at the national level and is now spearheading the NoStimulus.com charge to tell them to send it back. We don't need it. We can balance our own budget. We're proud to have our president and a member of AFP Virginia with us, Tim Phillips.
Can someone help us get an AFP chapter in Hawaii? I've got to get that done. 4 years ago, we launched Americans for Prosperity with a very simple mission in mind. Go out and build a grassroots army to fight for our free market values. Because in battle after battle after battle, when it comes to whether or not the budget will go up and whether or not taxes go up, all of you have seen what happens, right? You've seen it. I'll never forget in our very first chapter in Kansas. We launched AFP Kansas in 2004. The governor there had launched an effort to raise taxes. And I got to Topeka, Kansas on one of my first days in the job. And I pulled up to the Capitol, and there were 4 school buses out there. It was a school that I thought, oh, it must be nice. There's going to be, I guess, some school tours for kids. And then I noticed there was a rally going on at the Capitol. And I walked closer, I thought, well, maybe it's an Americans for Prosperity rally, right? Maybe it's our first day here, we're going to really fire this thing up. It was about 250 school kids, and it was the Kansas Education Association, the teachers union. And they did a rally that day. I'll never forget this. They stood up and they said, look, if we don't get this tax increase, then we're not going to have the investments we need for our children, as they pointed to the kids they had hauled out of school that day, I guess, for the rally. And then on the next day we had the Sierra Club. Which used to be, I think, in many ways a good organization, but today they're up fighting for every big government, big ticket, global warming alarmism argument you can possibly imagine. And they get up and they say, look, if these legislators and the governor, if they don't raise taxes or increase the budget, the environment, polar bears are going to die by the dozens. We're going to have a horrified situation happen. And then on Wednesday you have other big labor unions, other organizations on the left. Have you ever noticed there really aren't many free market organizations, citizen groups, folks like you, who stand up and show elected leaders that there's a constituency for defending our economic freedoms? And that's what we do at Americans for Prosperity. And I want to thank you for all that you do. You know, I want to just take this Pelosi, Reid, Obama, debt and spending $1 trillion bill battle that's happening right now. 25 days ago, we launched a website, NoStimulus.com. We began doing email blast out to our AFP membership. Hopefully a lot of you got those. We began doing word of mouth and events around the country, doing news talk radio. It slowly began building, 25,000, 50,000. All the pundits were saying, oh, there's no way to stop this thing. It's going to sell through with no debate, no change. Then they passed the House version, right? You saw that, which was just a horrific bill. And that thing kept rising. As of tonight, do you know how many signatures, petitions, signed petitions on that NoStimulus.com website, your website, that we have? 305,000 American citizens have gone to that website. Last Friday, I did an event at the Capitol with Senator Jim DeMint, who's one of the genuine free market champions in the United States Senate. And we did an event where we delivered 69,000 of these petitions. We had them stacked up in boxes, no stimulus on the sides of them. The media were there. It was good coverage. Fox News covered it, led with it that night. And since that night, since Friday night, we've exploded from 69,000 to 305,000 people taking a stand. And I want to tell you something. They're doing it in the face of being told by all the political pundits and all of the folks in Washington, this thing is a done deal. Well, growing up in the last 25 years in politics, I've learned one thing about conservatives, about folks on our side. We don't give up. We don't quit from the fight. And we're not quitting from this fight. And today was a difficult decision. Today was a difficult defeat in the Senate. We lost by a couple of votes in stopping this, the Senate version, which this kills me. Have you heard this one? Some of the folks, this Senator from Maine, Susan Collins, gets up. Have you heard her? She gets up and she goes, guys, I want to tell you, it was really tough, but we really cut the fat out of this thing. We really, it was a hard day's work, but boy, we took an axe to this thing and really checked. Have you heard that talk? And then Senator Specter and some of the other Democrats also get up. Well, it's interesting. The House bill was $820 billion. All right? After all the cutting, and after all the real difficult negotiating, and we're so thankful for that, Senator. Do you have any idea what the Senate bill is? It's about $838 billion. Only in Washington, D.C. would they take legislation, add $18 billion to it, and congratulate themselves for cutting the budget. It's an outrage what we're fighting. That's what we're up against. And look, that's just not at national. It's right here in Virginia. You know, last year Governor King stepped up and he said, we're going to raise taxes in Virginia. Mark Warner did it. It was a wonderful trend. Let's keep going with this idea of raising taxes in the Commonwealth. But Ben Marchi, who's doing a great job as state director for Americans for Prosperity. Hit the road. And the governor had planned, really, it was basically the Mark Warner redo. He had planned a number of town hall meetings around the state, but Ben and many of you began going to all those town hall meetings and holding up the signs that said, don't raise our taxes, no cane tax increases. And politely, but consistently in the town hall meetings, asking them not to do this, to cut the budget and protect Virginia families. And then many of you came to the rally that we all were at I guess it was last June at the Capitol. Who was here at that meeting? Raise your hand if you were at that rally. A number of you. I see a number of the folks here were at that rally. We had a couple hundred people come to the rally that day. And you know what? You defeated Governor King's tax increase. And that's the difference a grassroots organization can make in a free market battle when you're fighting to defend your economic freedoms. You know, last year, we looked at this global warming alarmism issue. And a guy who, and I know there's a lot of respect to him, I always pause and fight, but a good friend of ours, Al Gore, right, who's just a wonderful, no? Okay, maybe not, never got the wrong crowd, but we looked at what he's trying to do to our economy and our economic freedoms in the name of global warming. So we got a 7-story high hot air balloon. On the side of it, we put global warming alarmism means higher taxes, lost jobs, and less freedom. We did 37 events in that event, around the country, with that hot air balloon. Generated an enormous amount of coverage with it. Had big crowds come out. Gave away free balloon rides. If you missed it, you missed it. It was tethered. If you're a parent, don't worry. We tethered it, kept it held down, but not 200 feet up in the air. But that's the difference a citizen grassroots group can make. And that's the difference you're making by being part of Americans for Prosperity. We're going to do that again this year. We're going to go out and hit the road again with that hot air balloon to make sure we take on these guys and try to raise energy taxes and ration our energy. And take away a number of your freedoms. And one other issue is this card check issue. How many of you are familiar with the card check issue that the unions are bringing forward? Most of you, 2/3 of you are. Basically, in a nutshell, what big labor wants to do and what Speaker Pelosi and Mr. Lee and the President as well, Sadly, what they want to do is take away the secret ballot in places of employment when there's a decision on whether or not a union will be brought into that business. That's basically what it is. They want to, if you're an employee in a small business or in a large one, they want to take away your right to a secret ballot when it comes to a fundamental question of whether or not you're going to join the union. And do you know what they're calling legislation? This is the best of all. The Employee Free Choice Act. Is that Orwellian or what? The Employee Free Choice Act. That's what they're doing to us. We're going to fight that as well. We launched that. Americans for Prosperity launches that operation in Raleigh, North Carolina this Tuesday with Senator Richard Burr, a great freedom fighter in North Carolina. We're going to do events around the country calling attention to this issue of card check. So thank you for being here tonight. I'll tell you something. I wish I got to work on this first congressional campaign in '91, Governor Allen. But I wish we'd had Americans for Prosperity Virginia when you were governor. You did a lot without us. But I tell you, I wish we'd had the honor of working with someone who has done and is doing and is going to do so much for this Commonwealth and this nation. Thank all of you for coming.